Lee Rhodes has set out to light up the world. She once dropped a candle into a hand-blown glass and suddenly saw hope. Despite her cancer, she overcame her illness and started Glassy Baby, a Seattle company that handcrafts colorful glass candle holders. Today, Glassy Baby's revenues are in the millions, but Lee insists on donating a healthy percentage of those sales to charity. Martha Stewart has featured her products, Amazon's Jeff Bezos bought into her company, and she's won entrepreneurship awards for her inspired leadership. That's just a few reasons why Lee Rhodes joins our exclusive list of the innovators. I'm Hanson Hossein. Welcome to Four Peaks. Well, Lee Rhodes of Glassy Baby, welcome.
Thank you.
You know, you've actually said in the past that Glassy Baby stands for celebration and memory building. What do you mean by that?
I think it's something that when you go to our Glassy Baby store or online and you choose a certain color with a certain name, they usually have meaning to you, whether there's an orange that makes you feel a certain way or a name like Shine or Love. And you can start a storyline with just one Glassy Baby or with a multiple Glassy Baby that people keep, and every time they see them or light them in their house or their kitchen or bathroom, they remember you, they remember the event that made it so they got that Glassy Baby, and memory builds, as your Glassy Baby collection builds, memories build. And there are very few things in the world like that. Flowers are little like that in that they represent times and experiences, but then they die. And so
That's amazing, because I was actually thinking, what's the difference between giving, I'm just going to run a little video so people can see what it looks like. What's the difference between giving a Glassy Baby to somebody who means something to you as opposed to giving them a really beautiful bouquet of flowers?
I think in this day and age, giving a bouquet of flowers is beautiful, and it has meaning culturally to all of us. And it does waste water, and oftentimes, most times of the year, they're imported on a ship. And so if you're into sustainability, or if you're in kind of the new mindset of the century that we're living in right now, I don't think flowers are quite as appropriate. And I think with Glassy Baby, instead of getting it and then throwing it away, you're getting it and keeping and building a collection. And so although you may have photos that remind you of that time with a huge bouquet of flowers in them, we feel that, with Glassy Baby, I know from even the ones I have in my kitchen right now that are my favorite. I have some sheer cream in my kitchen that are the very oldest Glassy Baby. And every time I see them, I just remember that day. And when I light it, it's just a safe place that helps with all those times in your life when you just need to take a deep breath. And I'm not sure flowers really help.
Well, I love the way you describe that. You're talking both, first of all, about building a collection, building a relationship based on that collection, and the stories that go into that. So, for example, I bought this recently for my daughter, and she's really into purple. And so, do you know what color this is?
Sweet pea.
And does this say anything? I mean, I know she really loved it, and she wanted it immediately on the dinner table when we had it. And I look at this, and the candle itself, yes, it's got purple when you don't have the candle, but when you light the candle, it actually gives off even a different set of colors. So you're getting a real diversity and a different experience each time that you look at this.
Yeah, and every single Glassy Baby is different because they are all handmade in our Seattle studio. And I think that what happens is, even if you were to have 7 sweet pea lined up on a table, every one of them would light differently. So just like we're all individual and unique, and every experience that you are remembering or noting with a Glassy Baby is independent and unique of all the rest, it becomes yours the same way our children become ours. And so I think it's easy to become that memory building or just kind of collection that's thoughtful and kind and alive. I mean, I think there's nothing like color and light working together that touch your soul.
And your customers obviously have a huge passion for this and will start
Yeah.
collecting. I mean, they're not especially inexpensive. They're $44 each, but they feel like they're getting something out of it by making that investment. How do they perceive that purchase, you think?
I do. I think that people are beginning to write stories with Glassy Baby, and we do it through our community. So people bring, in order to really appreciate a Glassy Baby, you did it for your daughter. Your daughter came. She had an idea of her favorite color. She will always remember that this is her Glassy Baby. And there are very few things in life you can say that about. When you have 3 children, you get 3 different Pat the Bunny books, and they're all important because they mean something then. But as time goes on, you can't remember like who's Pat the Bunny. But frankly, I can't even tell my 3 kids apart and their children photos. You know what I mean? So there are very few things in life that can really note and encourage just remembering things that are important in community.
And this idea came out during a time when you were facing great adversity. You had cancer at the time. It was not the first time, and somehow this bit of inspiration, you put a candle into something your husband at the time had blown, and all of a sudden you said, wow, there's something there. What was it that struck you? What was that thing that went on in your head that says, wow, there's something special here?
I think like everyone else that sees a glassy baby, it's simple, but it's really very simple. There's nothing you have to do or be. I don't have to be like pretty. I don't have to be thin or rich. Or all those things, you know, every single morning we wake up with the 17 doubts before we wake up and say, I'm the greatest. And I think what Glassy Baby allows you to do is just appreciate simplicity and that color and really the candle moving in it helps you, you know, alleviate some of that stress we all live with all day long every day. And I think that's why people love them so much.
And you know, obviously you started with one glass, one color. You now have 400 colors.
Yeah.
What's the
process?
I can imagine. But what's the process that goes into actually thinking that up? Because it seems like each color is really special to the people who purchase them.
Yeah.
So how
and
do
every
you?
Single one of
what's the process that goes into figuring that out from your side?
Well, we make our Glassy Baby here in Seattle from Color Bar that's imported from Europe, and strangely enough, the only place that imports it from Europe in the whole country is located here in Seattle. And we really have to make colors that they're offering. So within their, maybe they have 1,200 colors, we can choose our 400 that we make. And so we're kind of restricted by that, thank goodness, because that would be really crazy. And then really we make the new colors and we sit around kind of and pass off names. We have 3 new names this week. We have Bambi coming out.
What color is Bambi? What is it closest
It's
to?
white with a little bit of brown in it. It's beautiful. It's really gorgeous. And then we have one called Cozy, which is a salmon. We haven't had a salmon in a long time, and so we're happy.
Salmon fits Seattle really well,
yes,
by the way. Yeah.
Yes, salmon color. And then called Cozy. And then I can't remember the third one. But that's what we do is we just slowly add names that will help. We're always trying to encourage people to have a storyline with their Glassy Baby, so they remember the name with the color, and it kind of just, again, brings that soulful time in their life back to the, you know, back to the surface, so that we appreciate. It's just it helps you appreciate things.
And what I love is that each one, despite the fact that they may have a color and a name, that each one truly is unique and distinct in its own individuality.
Yeah.
So when we return with Lee Rhodes, we're going to talk a little bit more about her unique business practices and how she gives back to charity. We'll be right back. We're back with Lee Rhodes from Glassy Baby. So Lee, we've talked about the colors and uniqueness of the product. What's also unique is your amazing approach to business. You give back a percentage, not from your profits to charity, but from your sales, which sounds crazy to me because you're not even looking at how much money you're bringing in, you're looking at how much you're selling. What went behind that thought?
Glassy Baby started because I realized that there was a place in the healthcare system that wasn't being fulfilled, a real niche. It was between health insurance and people's family and friends if they had them. A lot of people wouldn't come to chemo because they didn't have bus fare, they weren't well enough, they didn't have food to eat that was healing. And it was an eye-opener for me.
This is something you experienced as
yeah.
well.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you were,
in
we have
chemo
a picture
room.
of here when you were
yeah.
going through your
oh,
illness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was eye-opening to me. And when when you are not the person that that dies, which is kind of a weird statement, but when you are, it's hard to then go back to everyday life, go back to the carpooling, go back to the, you've kind of just, you've left your, band of soldiers back in a chemo room, and you're out on your own again.
Because that was a real bonding experience that you had with all those people who helped you, right?
Most. I mean, I haven't been to war, but I imagine it's a lot like that. I think the chemo rooms are battlefields, and everyone's fighting side by side. And when you're one of the ones that doesn't fall, I think that it's hard to get back. I mean, that seems whiny, and I know I'm the luckiest person in the world, and I did find that there was a void in my life. And so The Glassy Baby business plan works for me because, and I think it works for everyone because it really stems from the idea that there's this niche that needs to be filled. We can supply people with bus fare. We can supply people with blue jeans. We can supply people with, basically really great meal. And then we can also touch on things in their lives that help them want to fight. Like a paperback book or a magazine or a latte, things we just totally take for granted.
So when people buy the Glassy Baby, I mean, I've been to your store, you do show how the links to the charities. Do people associate that giving back at the time that they're purchasing this very personal item for themselves? Or is that something that matters to you as the owner of the business?
Yeah, no, we're every Glassy Baby gives, and we give an enormous amount. I mean, people love to see the huge checks we write there on our website. I mean, $40,000, $60,000 checks out of a company that's not, we're pretty big, but we're not huge.
And business experts would say, hey, you're shooting yourself in the foot here.
Yes.
Focus on the business first, then give back.
Yeah.
What's that about? How do you fight back with people who are telling you you're doing this wrong?
Because our motivation and our success comes from our mission. It comes from the authenticity of we are doing something that is very simple. It's the simplest thing in the world. It's taking care of people in a way and a place that isn't touched by most of society, and I didn't know existed. And so I think when you're motivated by that, it's easy to come up with a plan and stick to it. And that's what happened. Was we came up with this mission. We're going to give back revenue, and it's allowed people to really, because we're so authentic that way, people have bought in, and our community just grows and grows through people committing to what Glassy Baby does, which rather than Lee Rhodes is making all this money and then she's going to give it back. That wasn't going to work because that wasn't my passion.
And other than the fact that people really relate to the authenticity and the purpose and the beauty of the product, how did you find a way to engage with the community that wanted to be in a relationship with you?
I think it was all word of mouth in the beginning, and then we do have partnerships, with the University of Washington, for example. Our store in the University Village does a lot of partnerships with you all, and this month of December we give 10% off the top. So we give between $40,000 and $60,000, I think, in the month of December to you guys every year, and I think it makes people feel good, but also it puts value. We've never discounted a Glassy Baby either. I mean, they are $44.
But you do have lines that wrap around the corner when you have your second sale,
well, our
right?
little orphans that need to find a home, we do have a second sale twice a year.
Yeah.
But our real Glassy Baby will have never been discounted. They all have value. They're like a currency to me. Every single one of them has value. There's no reason why I would ever have a sale. And I think that the differentiation of us and most retail stores is that when you walk into a Glassy Baby store, you either don't have any idea and you're just struck by the color and the simplicity of it, or you know exactly what you want and you are coming with a story. And so when those two things meet in a Glassy Baby store, that's built community building.
Well, I love the stories. I love the community. I love that you stick to your principles. When we come back, we'll talk to Lee Rhodes about why she actually does all of this in Seattle. When we return. We're back with Lee Rhodes from Glassy Baby. Lee, we were just talking about your pricing philosophy and the importance of that and how it actually amazingly builds that community. One of the reasons why your price is there is that you actually insist on handcrafting, hand-blowing Glassy Babies right here in Seattle. I can imagine there might have been pressure at some point to outsource this to other countries, but you've kept it here in Seattle. Why is that so important to you?
We have an incredible glassblowing community here in Seattle, and we did at one point try outsourcing, and it didn't work for us. We could never fit them in our storyline, so they just sat. That was a nightmare.
You said storyline. I mean, on one hand, yeah, you want people to really enjoy the quality here, but wouldn't those lower prices also make it more accessible? What were you compromising by not doing it that way?
Well, it just had nothing to do with what we do. We make our Glassy Baby in Seattle. It takes 4 artists 9 minutes. Every single one of them is a trained artist on their own. They are part of our world. They're part of our community. I mean, it didn't make sense because when we imported them, there was nowhere to put them. I don't need a cheaper Glassy Baby. What I need are more Glassy Baby by the people that make them. And our studio is beautiful, and it's I feel like it's respectful. 4 people working really hard to make one Glassy Baby. there's no way I could ever then turn around and say, I'm going to discount that, because they're important, and their manufacturing for me is a huge part of the message that we try to give at Glassy Baby, which is things can be simple, things can be unique in their simplicity and in their individualness, or mixing together. It's like different friend groups. And the Glassy Baby being made here in Seattle is just really a part of that whole community that we're building, that people buy into.
And this is what's so amazing, is that you obviously have your very personal, strong principles, but it seems to me that your relationships, both with the people who work with you and the people who buy your product, guide you in a way in terms of how you uphold those principles.
Yeah, well, you know, we've never, ever, we've never gone off track on what is so important, which is I want people to be able to get their chemotherapy or get well or heal without me telling them what to do, but I want them to have the ability to do that, because I had that.
Howard Schultz says he doesn't sell coffee, he sells experience and relationship. So what do you think you're really in business doing? What is your business?
Well, we are in business because when people see a Glassy Baby and it's lit, you can't help, even my pets, everyone except for, I guess they don't see color, but every human being responds to color and light, every one of them, all of us. And they either make us feel upbeat, or they make us feel in love, or they make us feel calm, or some emotion. And I think that that's what we really do at Glassy Baby. We build on people's life experiences so that they remember them, they cherish them, and that they feel, if they're afraid of them, they can work through that fear with that light of that candle, for a lot of different.
Do any stories come to mind of one of your customers of over-the-top passion or over-the-top sort of resolution in their lives because of this product and what it does for them?
You know, pretty much every customer. It's a little bit, it's a little, not scary, but it's pretty incredible what people will share. And I think that the hardest times for me are when people have lost children, and Glassy Baby really fills a void, because I can't imagine losing a child, but the Glassy Baby, when they're lit, and when you have lost a child, it's impossible to know what to do. You can bring them dinner, you can you can join a club with them, you can exercise with them, but you're never really touching their soul. And a lot of what Glassy Baby is about is being home and lighting a Glassy Baby for that person that just lost a child, and really sending up all that positive care and energy. I believe the world feels that, and they do. And you're not kind of pressuring them by saying, what can I do for you? How can I help? Because when you're in the position of being sick or having lost something, you don't know how to, it's like there's nothing you can do but bring my child back or make me well. Yeah. And neither one of those things are.
I think that's a really beautiful way to express it. And as I look at this, you can really feel the energy and a soul in this. So yeah. I thank you for doing that. We'll be right back with Lee Rhodes from Glassy Baby.
Four Peaks is made possible by generous support from the Museum of History and Industry and from Weber Shandwick.
We're back with Lee Rhodes, founder of Glassy Baby. Lee, you've accomplished so much in a short period of time with your remarkable company. As you look forward, what do you have on the horizon? What would you really like to see 5 to 10 years from now with Glassy Baby?
I think there's room in the flower industry for Glassy Baby. I think it's a $35 billion industry, and I would like $1 billion. And with our model, we could actually almost save oceans with that.
Wow, so if you actually had sales of $1 billion,
yeah,
the money that you would put aside for...
We'd give $100 million, yeah.
$100 million, and so you're
Sure.
thinking that environmental causes is something you want to move into as well.
Well, I feel like the ocean has always been that just like a Glassy Baby, it's moving, it's lit, it's incredible, but I can never see below it. And now as you read and you see and we eat, we can see that we don't understand much about it, and I feel like it's a living, breathing, very, very important part of our planet, and I'd like to understand it and help it continue to serve us.
And how do you think you're going to be able to make the argument to people who are so accustomed to buying flowers for certain occasions that Glassy Babies are just as good or even better?
I think they're better, and I think that a bouquet of Glassy Baby is something that you can collect, and you'll remember if you send your mother a Glassy Baby every Mother's Day, in 12 years she'll have a beautiful collection that's just connected to you. You can't ever have enough Glassy Baby. I mean, I have hundreds and I still want more when they come out. So it's not something that you'll ever have too many of. You can't have too many. And I also feel like, again, we are building a community. We are building experiential ways for people to communicate at times when it's really hard to communicate. Sometimes it's just easier to say, I lit a candle for you today.
I love that. It's a communication medium in itself.
Yeah.
That's really tremendous.
And that's what flowers are.
Yeah.
But they die. So.
They do die, and this lasts, and then it has a story behind it.
Yeah.
We've been asking this of all of our great innovators who we're featuring on our show this season. If you were freed of all obligations and expectations, completely free, what would you do?
Well, in the big picture or just every day?
I think either way.
I think I feel really lucky, and I would just spend time with my dogs and my kids and my family. I think that seems to be what resonates with me.
You've gone through so much. I think just to be able to have that personal relationship and just focus on that is something that would give you that freedom. Yeah, I think it's a really, really nice way of putting it, and obviously something that's very personal to you as opposed to saying, I want to conquer the world.
Oh.
You've done that already, or you're on your way.
That seems easier.
And you're definitely lighting up the world, so
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of doing it.
Seems easier to conquer
Well,
the world.
your mission and your purpose is so clear to me, and I think it's something that people will continue to gravitate to. So I suspect you'll probably hit that $1 billion in sales and be able to save the oceans at the same time. So,
Thank you.
So Lee Rhodes, thank you very much for joining us and for telling us a story, the remarkable story of Glassy Baby. And we invite you all to extend your reach by connecting with us at 4peaks.org. I'm Hanson Hossein.
Production of 4 Peaks would not be possible without the generous support of our sponsors.